Number one, I'm so grateful I'm standing here right now. I can't hardly breathe. My name is Cristen. I'm 31 years old. I've been at Abba House 20 months, and I'm graduating today. Well, when I was little, all I really wanted was my dad. I just wanted him to hold me. And he really didn't know how to do that. And I could never see that he loved me the way that he could love me. He had a lot of depression issues. He was bipolar. He had a lot of wounding from his parents, and what his parents taught him, he taught me. And even though he was there, he wasn't really there. So I had a lot of security issues, really, with him, and I was never really comforted by being in his arms. And that stuff culminated and manifested when I was 15 years old, and I got diagnosed with bipolar, and I've been in and out of mental institutions since then. When I was 18, I was diagnosed with acute spinal degeneration, bulge disc, nerve damage, you name it, I had it, and I've been getting spinal injections every 3 weeks for the last several years prior to Abba House. I was disabled, and I was incapacitated by my depression. When I was 21 years old, my dad's depression finally came to a head, and he killed himself. He shot himself in his head, and I found him. I was the last person to talk to him. I was the first person to find him. And I checked out. I was already on a bunch of prescriptions. I became addicted to them. I never thought I would be able to live without them. And I just left. I left Georgia for a couple of years even. And I thought that would solve my problems, but it didn't. When I got back here, my problems were all still here. And I was still incredibly broken. I got married, but I didn't really know what that meant either. My depression and my disability got worse and worse, and I became where I was just existing. I wasn't living. I would lay in the bed and I would watch TV, and I would go get up to smoke a cigarette or take a pill or eat, and that was about it. It was terrible. It was a terrible place to be. And right before I came to Abba House, I had the most serious suicide attempt I'd ever had. Prior to that, all my suicide attempts were mostly attention-seeking. But this last one, in December of 2011, I should be dead right now. Nobody was at home. I didn't leave a note. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it. I took a couple of bottles of some very serious medication, and for some reason, I answered the phone when my husband called me, and he knew something was wrong, and he called the ambulance, and I woke up the next day in the hospital, and I was angry. I was so angry that I was alive, and that is the worst place that you could possibly be. We had lost our house, our cars, my family was done with me. I mean, they loved me, but they weren't going to enable me anymore. And I had nowhere to go, I had nothing to do. And my Aunt Hattie found a place called Abba House, and I'm so grateful that she did. When I got there, I was completely hopeless. I was mechanical, just walking around, not knowing what I was doing. When I got there, I thought that they were crazy. I didn't know anything about Abba House when I got there. And I found out I got to work in a thrift store. What? I can't have soda, I can't have candy, I can't have sugar, I can't, I've got all this Jesus stuff. I was barely a Christian. And you know what? I tried to leave several times. And the last time I tried, they said, okay, it's your choice. And I was like, wait a minute, what? So I made that choice. And that first choice that I made was the first choice in a series of choices that brought me to freedom, because in the absence of options, God made a way. And everything started getting just a little bit better, one day at a time. It wasn't anything huge right at first. It was subtle. It was, I'd wake up one day and I wouldn't hate the thought of getting out of bed, or I'd go to bed the next day and I wouldn't think back on my day as being terrible. You know what? That didn't suck. It wasn't bad. And I'm serious, it got better a little bit at a time. It wasn't this huge thing all at once. And God started healing my heart. He started showing me my dad through his eyes. He started letting me see that I could be safe in his arms. And once I forgave my dad, I could really be secure in his arms. And that security is one of the hardest things that I had to learn at Abba House. It took me a long time to learn it because I had to find my identity in him and not anything else. And my perception had to change about who I was in him. And I started getting better. And I started just feeling alive again. Light came into my eyes. I was a different person already. And it wasn't that I became a different person. It was more like I got stripped back down to the little girl that I was supposed to be, and I got to grow into my skin the right way.
Wow.
And that's really pretty cool. And so I dropped my disability case. Not only have I haven't been on any prescriptions in 20 months, and I'm not dead, I'm awesome. I've lost right around 65 pounds. I went from a size 22 to an 11. My depression is gone. I'm not depressed. Weird, yes, but I'm not crazy. And I've got a joy inside of me that is infectious and beautiful and something I never, ever would have been able to have without him. And it just blows me away. And not only am I not physically disabled anymore, but I lift couches with these beautiful girls, you know, and I'm physically strong, and I'm strong in him. And I'm so grateful that God sent me to a place with people that were willing to make those hard choices for me. And those choices are hard. I see it, how difficult it is sometimes. And I'm so grateful that I have a family, that I've got my family in my life in the right way, that God's given me an extended family, and that I can stand here before you today and just tell of his glory, because it's beautiful. And I'm going to stay with Abba House. And if you would have told me 20 months ago that not only would I have been standing here 20 months from now, but also I'd be volunteering to stay at Abba House, I would have told you were insane. But I'm staying, and I'm happy about it. And I love you guys so much. Thank you.